to the President of the United States, the Trump whisperer, Jason Miller. Jason, let me get right to it. Are we going to win in November, and why do you think so, if you do?
Kurt, good morning. Good to be with you. And hopefully he was okay. I heard that he was trapped in his basement. Oh, wait, that's Joe Biden.
No, that is Joe Biden being peppered with harassment by that uppity squirrel. So are we going to win this thing, Jason? I keep being told by the media we're losing.
No, we're going to win, and I think obviously we have the best candidate in the race. We have a president who's done a great job over the last 3.5 years. But Kurt, to your point, this is exactly what they told us in 2016. Let me give folks kind of a this might be a little bit granular, but I think it's important for this.
We're extremely granular in the Hugh Hewitt radio program.
Here's what you got to realize: in 2016 and in 2018. Exit polls had it at approximately 36% Democrat, 33% Republican. That's what is consistent for 2016 and 2018. And President Trump really changed the dynamic of who's turning out in the models that these media pollsters are using. So for these polls that came out this last week, this Washington Post ABC poll, the Quinnipiac poll, even going into the Wall Street Journal and the NBC poll, they're all using either 24 or 25% Republican samples, which is a full somewhere between 25 and 27% less Republicans. Now, Kurt, I know you're in California where Republicans are disappearing, but there's no way that literally 27% of all Republicans in the country have disappeared in the last 2 years. So who does that get replaced with? Gets replaced with more Democrats, Democrat-leaning independents, and then you have a sample that comes out saying essentially that President Trump is way behind, when in reality either he's leading, tied, or within the margin of error for every state he needs to win to hit 270.
One of the keys last time was Donald Trump went out and energized new voters who hadn't voted in at least a few recent elections. Are you tracking that, and is that one of your targets this time? How are you getting those voters?
Yeah, absolutely. And so not only are we seeing big chunks of voters who are coming out that haven't voted before, we have a lot of folks who didn't even vote for President Trump in 2016. They'll be with him in 2020. We're also seeing that this erosion with Biden support, particularly with African-American voters, is real. President Trump last time received 9% of the vote from African-Americans. Zogby currently has them at 14. Rasmussen currently has the president at 20% with African-Americans. This movement away from the Democratic Party is real. And what's key for folks to realize, anytime the Republican is getting north of 10% of the African-American vote, that means that Democrats can't just go and turn out every African-American voter out there and assume they're going to vote Democratic. And that is because people are waking up and realizing that folks like Joe Biden, been there for a half century, haven't done squat for him. And President Trump has actually built a great economy.
Well, let's talk a little about the opponent, Joe Biden. I'm a military guy. You maneuver on the enemy or the opponent. Let's put it that way. Here's my contention. I think that President Trump is laying off his manifest cognitive decline until the Democrats lock this guy in until September, when normal people, unlike us, do not swim in the cesspool of politics 24/7, start paying attention, ready to do their civic duty. Am I reading that right?
I think, I've always had this deep suspicion that Crooked was going to come off the sidelines, and maybe they try to swap out Joe at convention. I think they're pretty much locked in here, but there are a couple lines of attack that we are holding off a little bit until Biden is formally locked in. We'll have that happen in the next few weeks or the next month here. But in particular, the fact that the weird thing here. I've never seen a Democratic candidate in the general election move to the left like this. Normally candidates win in the primary and then they tack to the center. Joe Biden wins the primary, then he signs on to Bernie Sanders' crazy communist manifesto plan. Then he puts AOC on his climate advisory board. Then he starts buddying up to all the BLM folks and talking about defunding police. I've never seen this before in a general election. And look, there's new Rasmussen polling out today showing that 2/3 of Americans hate this idea of defunding the police and don't even want to redirect it to crazy social service programs. And by the way, folks, we're not talking about midnight basketball. I mean, this is going to outright social workers in place of police officers. That is the Joe Biden America. So numbers are moving on. But the fact that he's beholden by this left-wing mob, the AOCs, the Ilhan Omars, the Bernie Sanders, the Keith Ellisons, the Elizabeth Warrens, these are all folks who will be in charge because, Joe Biden's barely there.
Well, look, to quote one of the great movies of all time, which probably couldn't be made today because it's politically incorrect, Dodgeball, moving to the left, bold strategy, Cotton. Hey, how does President Trump win without doing the kind of rallies he's done in the past?
Well, he's already started doing a lot of these tele-rallies. Haven't gotten a ton of publicity. We haven't been pushing them that strongly as far as in the media, but the president's been doing a number of these rallies in target states and target districts. Sometimes they range between 6,000 folks calling in to 50,000 folks. And he's doing multiple of these tele-rallies every
Well, you guys
single night.
raised $20 million at a virtual fundraiser just the other day.
Yeah, that was just last night. That was a huge amount, huge amount. So the team's working to find a way to do it. But we are planning on a pretty robust convention. We think we're going to be able to do it safely and responsibly, and it'll be in big contrast to the way the Democrats are doing it, kind of everything virtual, everything Hollywood. I think we're going to be able to do it and show really some good energy and spirit. But the one thing that we found with Trump supporters is that the number one thing that they're focused on is getting President Trump reelected. So the base is there. In fact, Democrats are having to start a new group to try to inject enthusiasm into Joe Biden. I'm not sure what Joe Biden gets injected with currently, but enthusiasm is not one of the items.
No, he's about half stepping right now, and frankly, I think he's going to duck the debates. My guess is about November. Or I'm sorry, excuse me, about September, the Democrats are going, we can't put this guy up in front of people. Donald Trump, who's vigorous and powerful and potent and full of energy, is going to cream this guy. We got to think of something. So I think what we're going to see is some level of, we're not going to normalize Donald Trump. He's racist, sexist, and transphobic, and we won't normalize him by sharing a stage. Now, I do know that the president's going to have to prepare for a debate, whether he comes up or not. Who would play Joe Biden if you guys were doing debate prep? I'm thinking Jeff Sessions because his calendar seems to be clear.
No, but Jeff Sessions has a pulse. Actually, maybe not after last week. So I don't know. But
maybe he'll recuse himself from it.
You actually bring up a good point. This is something that we're taking very seriously. We've been analyzing all of the debate clips from 1987 when Biden was first in it through 2008, 2012 in the VP debate, as well as all of his debates in 2019. And there are a number of things that popped up. Joe usually comes to play. And as much as I think that Joe is very uneven, and I think President Trump is right when he says that Biden is mentally shot, he does rise to the occasion on debates. And I think this is an important point for all of us to realize is that he will show up to play. He will be in good position. Where he will not be in good position, as I've been going through and watching all these clips, there are a number of tells that Biden has. There are a number of stories that he goes to. There are a number of answers.
Are they necessarily his stories, or are they Neil Kinnock's?
Well, they're, I don't know, maybe it's Corn Pop or maybe it's RFK, maybe it is Neil Kinnock. All of the,
look, if Trump finds Corn Pop and sticks him in the front row at the debate, I will plot.
Well, the last time we had Juanita Broderick, this time we'll have Corn Pop. But this is a thing where we've gone through is that there are a number of tells that Biden has in the debate. We've been breaking down every minute of footage over the past 30 years. And so I think President Trump will be ready. But I do got to make sure folks know Joe Biden is going to debate much better than you would think. But President Trump will be ready for him.
I think it's very smart to calibrate the expectations, because otherwise, the Democrats are going to run him down too. You'll see if he does debate, which I don't think he will, but if he does, there'll be leaks at the Times about, Joe Biden, Democrats are worried, Joe Biden's a mess, drive down expectations. And if he shows up and doesn't fall over or, forget to, ends up wearing a bathrobe on stage, which I wouldn't put out of range of possibilities, then he looks okay. So I think that's a great thing to do. What are the key issues that are going to drive this? Because right now it's COVID and the economy, but I think there's things like China bubbling out there. What do you think during the home stretch we're going to be talking about?
I think in particular, Joe Biden's, like I said, this leftward lurch in the general, that 110-page document that he and Bernie Sanders put out there's enough material there to run a lifetime of campaigns on. But as we talk about the real radical elements, the amnesty for 11 million illegal illegals, free health care for illegals, everything from taxpayer-funded gender reassignment surgery to this reimagining policing. There are a lot of these things that are just really kind of wacko, and and in particular, look, when we talk about on the jobs front, the only job that Joe Biden ever brought back from China was one for Hunter, and I think that was $1.5 billion that he helped him bring back on Air Force Two. Which, by the way, Kurt, nobody knows what Hunter Biden was doing when they were on the ground for 2 hours.
Well, I would think coke.
Well,
let me ask you, Jason Miller, because we're coming up against it. But look, I'm a suburban guy. I have a suburban wife. I'm around suburban people. Security is a big issue, and the cities run by Democrats seem to be on fire. How is Donald Trump going to reassure people in the suburbs that he can get a handle on this stuff? And we only have about 30 seconds.
Yeah, and this is why you're going to see President Trump very strongly oppose this radical plan by Biden and Cory Booker and the Democrats to destroy our suburbs, get rid of single-family zoning areas, and create these little downtowns and expand the big city tax bases, but also making sure that we're willing to put the federal government in to help to keep people safe. Joe Biden won't do it. Donald Trump will.
Thank you, Jason Miller, Senior Advisor to President Trump, the Trump Whisperer, here on the Hugh Hewitt Radio program.